So the first piece you're going to need is your front exterior piece. This is 18 by 15 inches. And then we have our, so it's our front, and then we have our back exterior piece. This is same measurement as the front, so it's 18 inches by 15 inches. This one is actually made out of woven fabric. Our front cover is made out of cotton lycra. So we're going to be blending some fabrics today. Both are interfaced with some SF 101. I have it on both so you can see some pieces together. That's the beauty of using that material. So that's our front and our back. And then you also need 2 straps. These are 4 inches by 18 inches. Again, this is made for a child size tote bag. For an adult size, I recommend, doing longer straps. This holding up to a 1-inch strap. And I just went ahead and used the fabric that I cut off of my main panel piece, or my exterior panel piece, because I didn't want to waste the fabric that I had, and it still all goes with the theme. So these are also cut out of cotton lycra. You can also use woven, and they're both interfaced with SF 101 already. So we have those two. And last, we have our interior pieces. This is cut out of WPC waterproof canvas. This way I don't have to interface anything, so it saves me a step there, and this allows us to wipe down the bag in case these are made for Halloween totes, so in case my kids get melted chocolate or spill anything, it'd be easy to wipe them clean. So these are also measured to the same size as the front and back panel piece, so they are 18 inches by 15 inches. And when we sew it up, we kind of do this interior. It has a wider seam allowance, just so that the lining isn't saggy. You can make this smaller if you'd like, but I find that just by increasing that seam allowance, that gives us the fit that we want. And then I don't have to kind of have 2 different measurements for this pattern that I created. So here's all of our pieces. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to sew up are our straps. So I have my 2 straps here, and I went ahead and I ironed them in half long ways. And what we're going to do is take the 2 ends and put them in the middle where that seam is. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I have my clips right here. You don't have to go crazy with the clips, just enough to get it in the middle, but that's up to you. I don't know why. Then we're going to flip it over and do the other end. And I don't want to put my clips kind of on in front of each other. I put them off to the side, and you'll see that in a second why I do that. So we have them both meeting in the middle, and you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to clip them together. So the reason why I don't pin them in front of each other or clip them in front of each other is so whenever I fold them over, I can just pick up the one and it'll clip both. So there's those two. So if you want to add a few more clips, I'm just going to add one more. And then here's our first, and we're going to do the same thing for our second strap. So I already have it pressed in the middle. You can also draw a line in the middle where the 2-inch mark is, since this is a 4-inch strip. But I just go ahead and do the iron. I think that's easier, especially in case my lines are not as perfectly straight. Oh look, our lines are gonna match up. That's gonna be cute. So, did both sides. Now we're just gonna pull it together and clip. You can definitely pin these if you'd like. I have both pins and clips. I just really prefer the clipping method. Some sewing patterns require like to get in the middle of things and then I'll pin, but for the most part I just love a couple of clips, and I have them sitting right by my sewing machine. Okay, so we have our 2 straps clipped. Now we're ready to sew them up. So we have our 2 straps and those are done. So we're just going to line up our pieces right sides together, and I'm going to put a few clips. So I'm going to start making sure I get all my corners. That's how I do mine. Oop. that's about it. Okay, so then I'm gonna find my top. Okay, so we're only going to sew on 3 sides. So here's my top. We're not gonna sew here. We're only gonna sew on the left and right side and on the bottom. Crank my stitch length to 4. Now you can put more pins in here. Again, this is just straight lines, so I don't need that many, but feel free to add as many as you need. So here we go. Back stitch, and let's roll. Because we don't want to get a saggy lining. I'm still going to do, so it's like a, I don't know if you call it a scant, or it might be 3/8 of an inch. I don't think I did a 1/2 inch. Yeah, it's going to be a 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for the lining. 4 is our setting. Okay, so now we're going to box our corners. So here's my exterior of the bag. Okay, so now we're going to box our corners. So here's my, I'm going to take my ruler. I have my quilting ruler here. You can use any ruler. And then I'm going to get, I just have a regular pin. You can use a friction pin, a water pin, whichever you like to do these squares. You're not going to see them, so that's why I just have like a pin handy. So we're going to measure, we're going to give this a 1.5 inch boxed bottom, and we're going to do this to both the exterior and the lining. So we're going to take our ruler, and I'm going to use the sewing line. So the sewing line is our guideline, not the fabric. So you're going to use the sewing line for both the measurements to do this. And we're going to, sorry, I have my ruler the wrong way. So we're going to measure 1.5 inches on the side and in the middle. So see how we lined up the 1.5 here on the side with our thread, and then 1.5 inches here along the bottom. Oh, I kind of moved it a bit, but yeah. So that's that. And then we're just gonna draw a square like that, and we're going to repeat this on the other corner of our lining, and we're also going to do this on our lining pieces. So do that and cut these out, and then we'll be back to sew up the next piece. I have my corners now cut on both sides, on both ends of my exterior and on my lining. So I did that to both, same measurement, the 1.5 inches. So now, before we do the box, we're going to add our handles to our exterior piece. So you could start on either side, it doesn't matter. But what I like to do is I'm going to fold it in half. We have it in half, so I could find the center piece of our bag. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and use a pin for this part. You can use a pin mark or something, but I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of pin what the center is for myself, and then I'm just gonna take one side and I'm gonna fold that back in half. So I just have one, and this is just kind of helping me. You could do this, you can eyeball this, but I'm trying to get the center of each panel side, so that way I know where to put my handle. So use pin there. That's done, and since I already have it here, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on the other side too. So those are there. So what's this gonna tell me is here's the middle of the bag, and then here's the middle of those two halves. And what I want to do is put my strap on those two. So hope that makes sense. But you can measure this. Let me see if I can give you a rough measurement. So this is about about 4.5 inches in from the bag, and that's counting from the sewing line. But this is a good method to use for really any size bag if you decide to alter this bag, the measurements of it. So let's see. I want.
Don't call me. Don't expect me to cooperate. We don't need your cooperation. Set. Court order. I was you to the boss of what's happening.
All right, I'm gonna have my. Just gonna go ahead and fold this back and pin it out of my way. So I just have that. Then here's my inside. And I want the bat to be there. So I'm gonna make sure that your strap is straight while you do this, and you're gonna put the ends up at the top. So have your ends up, and then I'm just going to use a clip to clip those guys in place where the pins are, and do that on both sides. And then I just kind of put it in the middle of where the pin is. So there's those two, because you're going to sew it right here. And then let's go ahead and do our other side as well. Now I took the pins out because now you could just use the clips as your piece. So here, I'm gonna flip it over.
I know I'm not supposed to come see you while you're out on a job, but you did give me your card the other night.
Again, make sure that my strap is straight, that I'm not trying to get it twisted, because once it's sewn in place, that's it. So I'm just going to match my two ends here.
Just wanted to come over here to see what I'm saying. I know you think that I don't like your new career. To put it mildly. You're right, I don't like it, but not for the reasons that you think. I'm not happy that you're a sober companion because it never seems to make you happy. How do you know it makes me happy? I know because you're my daughter.
Okay. Oh. And then just clip that in place. And then let's do the same thing with this guy.
After what happened with me, I always thought this job was something that you picked out of, I don't know, out of a sense of duty. It came to me the other night when the two of you talked about Sherlock's work. I saw something. It was a spark, a sense of excitement. I haven't seen it in a long time. You like what he does. It's okay. I enjoy it, but I'm a detective, Mom. And I'm almost done working with Sherlock, and then it's on to with the next client.
Okay, so now I have my front and my back pinned.
Strangest of ways.
So, and then I like to just kind of hold it up and make sure that they do line up, because again, once you want to tack these down and sew it up, that's it. So we're just going to go ahead and sew these with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to make it, I'm going to go down to 3 for my stitch length, because I want to make sure that these guys stay on. My kiddo is, I can about imagine, he might be a little rough with it, so I want to make sure these are not going anywhere. So again, and I'm just gonna get my bag open, sew these on 1/8 of an inch, and make sure they're straight along with the bag. Oh, my thread came undone. Okay. So here we go. Ease up on my pressure. So. Oh, what I said? I said 1/8 of an inch, and I'm sitting here doing. Oh, Lord.
I'm just saying, this is a problem.
This sign of an active mind.
So those are tacked on. So now we have our handles in the bag. So we're getting close. So now we're going to box our corners. So we already cut the holes. Now we're going to sew them up. So you're going to take your corner and you're going to pull it until it makes a straight line. See how I did that? And then your two seams are going to sit like a sandwich. So they fit in kind of automatically. And then I am going to put a few clips in here. Just to make sure it stays put. And that's it. And then we'll do that to the rest. Now, when you do your other end, you're going to pull it until it fits. Now, this seam, you want to make sure it's going the same way as this seam. So this one's folding over. So we want to make sure it's going the same way. You don't want it to go the opposite. It's just going to make your fabric twisty. So we're going to do that. And then there, it's a straight line. So if it helps doing the seam part first, do that. And then pull the two sides. But looking pretty good. And then we'll do the same to our lining. So clip the middle first. And here's our end. Straight line. Okay, and then our seam is coming down, so I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make sure it's, so here's the mouth. I'm going to open it. Okay, and it's going up on the other side. So that's the same thing we want to do. So I'm just going to use my thumb to kind of push it up. And then just be careful because you cut those corners, the threads kind of coming apart. It's okay, just don't pull too hard and you'll be fine. And that's why it's easier to do that, and then you can line up the sides. Cool. And one other thing that we did not do was we're going to have to undo a few stitches in the middle of our lining so that we have a place to birth the bag when we're done, because this is not going to be a drop-in lining. You can do that, but this one we're actually going to do the birthing method. So once we sew these up, we'll also be doing that. So let's sew up our sides, or our boxes.
I haven't started yet. I can watch TV audio without keeping Terry up. That's very considerate of you. And untrue.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my coffee. It's like Thursday. So we're gonna do the lining. It's gonna have the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for these boxes. Make sure that my seams are down like they should be. know that, but okay, that's my lining. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting this. And then here's our exterior. The exterior is going to be 1/4 of an inch seam allowance.
Carrie was a lovely woman. Lots of people thought so. Then especially. Is there a particular man you're referring to?
Whoop. I make sure my seam is down. Catch it just right. Okay, so now those are done. Now let's get our lining back, and I'm just going to take my seam ripper. Now you can certainly leave the hole when you're sewing, or you can just undo a few stitches. Now it's up to you. And I'm just gonna do a little hole because normally when I do this, a few more stitches kind of come out while you're doing it, so this will be fine. Okay, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to trim down our fabric right here. Just going to cut a bit off for our lining. Can't show you, I'm left-handed. So I'm just trying to trim down the seam allowance. I'm trying to show you guys I'm left-handed, so bear with me. Alright, so there's that. I already did it to the other side. So we're going to take, you want the right sides of the fabric have to be touching each other. So we're going to take our lining here and leave it inside out. We're going to take our exterior and we're going to flip it the right side. And I'm going to take my time right now and like push in the little corners. So we got it flipped right side out, and we're gonna stick it inside of our lining. Okay. Let me see if I can push this girl back. Ugh. Okay. Ooh, too much. So here's our lining. That's inside out, and our exterior, that is right side out. And we're gonna take our handles and we're gonna stick them in. Sorry, I'm thinking while I'm doing this. Right. Yeah. Handles go in. So handles go in. And we're going to take our seams, and that's how we're gonna match it up. And so we're just gonna take the two and clip those. And then do that on the other side. Take our side seam of our exterior to our side seam of the interior. Again, make sure that your seam is going the same way that it is here at the bottom. Oops. Sorry, you guys. So yeah, so let me make sure that this is right. Yeah, this is right. So now I'm just going to pin the bag around. Here's the handles. That's really what I'm pulling up, is the handles. Pinning those in place. And then once that's in place, then I could do the middle.
You know I'm not staying, right? What are you doing?
Secret compartments have been a part of the cabinet making since the age of enlightenment. Now, I want to spend a thrilling afternoon examining a Queen Anne's secretary and 25 hidden caches. timestamps or references on videos.
Which means it'll probably take forever to identify the guests who performed blackmail-worthy acts on tape. I'm going to need teams working on shifts to get through it all. It's going to take days.
Not necessarily.
Okay. So we have it all clipped, and I made sure that my straps match up as well, because again, I want to make sure that that's all in the same place. So let's move this guy back. Alright, takes the quality.
It's correlation to relapse.
Hmm.
Any additional temptations.
Okay. So I'm going to open up the bag. And we're going to sew with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I normally just kind of start in the back anyway, in the middle.
Turns out, photographs hidden in Mrs. Purcell's computer. That's steganography.
Files are sold on suspicious content hidden in them.
Luckily, I have a encryption program. About her drug use. While I was questioning her father.
About her mother not being the person that everyone thought she was.
I must warn you, Wilson, whatever's on these videos is likely to
Why? Because some French guy.
Someone want to tell me what the hell is going on here?
now we're going to go to the bottom of our bag and we're going to pull out the exterior of the bag. We're going to birth it. Don't forget the handles. Those to come out too. And then you're also going to turn the lining. We birthed it. So we're going to push our corners out on our lining and make sure that's done both sides. We already did it on our exterior, but make sure that is all nice. And then we're going to go ahead and close up this seam. So how I do that is we're going to use the sewing machine and close up this hole. So I have a couple of pieces kind of came undone, but you're just going to pull on this seam and it's kind of like already perforated for you. You know, it's got that memory fold in it, which is what I like about sewing it up first, is that it gives that crease for you. So there's a couple extra threads. I'm gonna make sure this is all out of the way. Clean that up. Okay. Here we go. So now we're just going to sew, and we're going to do a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance right here on this back. And you want to make sure you go far enough to grab everything. Go ahead and just trim up the threads on that. I just have my seam ripper doing that. Okay, and now we're going to push the lining into the bag. Pushing my corners. And it should fit snug. Yay! Okay, so that's in. So now the last thing we're gonna do, and this is optional, but I like doing it, makes it have a cleaner look. And that is, we're going to do a top stitch all around our bag. So I'm just gonna make sure, I'm just gonna clip it in a few places to kind of hold down the lining wherever I feel that, you know, finger pressing might just not be enough. So like here at the edges, I'm gonna do that. Here where the handles are, I'm going to clip those. Okay, so I did one here in the middle by the straps. Okay, and by the edges, the seams right here. Okay, so we have our bagged clipped to just kind of show the edge. Again, you can finger press this. You don't have to clip it, but I prefer to clip this part just to make sure it all kind of stays in place. So we're going to just sew 1/8 of an inch, and let me make my stitch length is going to be 3.5, and like I said, just 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to start in the back.